Good evening. Today is the second day of the novena in preparation for the feast of St.Anne. The theme of today's talk is Holy, Generous, Compassionate Mother St.Anne. This talk has three parts. Part 1, Holiness. Part 2, Generosity. Part 3, Compassion. I begin with part 1, Holiness. In the book of Leviticus, Yahweh invited his people to be holy. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 2. In the letter to the Ephesians, St. Paul tells them to be holy and spotless. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4. St. Augustine asked, if he and she can become saints, why can't I? Pope St. John Paul II told the members of the 25th General Chapter of the Salesians, you must become saints. I am sure that all of us will accept that in the modern world it is very difficult to be holy. How do we describe a holy person? What are the qualities that we expect to find in a holy person? I would like to mention 5 qualities of a holy person. First quality, a holy person should be basically a happy person. All of us have our own moments of anxiety, worry, tension, discouragement, misunderstandings, failures, etc. In spite of all these, I expect a holy person to be a happy person because he or she is trying as far as possible to lead a sinless life. He or she is able to live in the present moment without regretting about the past or worrying about the future. And he or she is able to accept God's will even when he or she experiences negativities in life. Second quality, there should be harmony and coherence in the life of a holy person. We will find hardly any contradiction in the life of a holy person. At times we find persons who are ready to spend hours and hours in front of the Blessed Sacrament and unwilling to do any work in the community. Such persons are not holy persons. We find persons who are ready to spend lot of money to beautify the chapel, but unwilling to help poor people who ask for financial help. Such persons are not holy persons. Not rarely we find persons who preach but do not practice what they preach. Such persons are not holy persons. Third quality, a holy person believes in the life after death. Many years ago, I used to think that all the consecrated people believe in life after death. But today my idea has changed because I have come into contact with priests and religious who through their words and actions show that they do not believe in life after death. In other words, in the present society, just because a person is a priest or a sister, it does not necessarily imply that he or she believes in life after death. A holy person will not be mad after power, position, or authority because he or she believes in life after death. Fourth quality, a holy person shows an understanding attitude towards weaknesses in others. When we live in a community, very easily we notice the weaknesses of others. If we are holy persons, we will show an understanding attitude towards their weaknesses because we know that all are weak human beings. I shall give an example of a person who showed an understanding attitude towards one of my weaknesses. In my community, daily I used to play card game after lunch. We need 6 people to play this game. One day we were only 5 of us. One deacon who did not know how to play the game joined our team and we lost the game. I got annoyed with him because he did not know how to play card game. I asked him sorry. After 2 months or so, it happened that we were only 5 of us. The same Good Samaritan joined our team and we lost the game and I got annoyed and I asked pardon from him. 1 month later, the same story was repeated. I was feeling bad to ask him sorry. He must have realized that I was feeling bad to ask him sorry a third time. He entered my office and told, Father Anton, I absolve you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit for having got angry with me. This is how that deacon showed understanding attitude towards my weakness of getting annoyed with him during the card game. Fifth quality, a holy person does not take for granted the forgiveness of God. If a person takes for granted the forgiveness of God, he or she will tell himself or herself, I can commit any sin any number of times. After that, I will make confession. I shall give an example of a person who took for granted the forgiveness of God. A certain religious came to me and said, Father Anton, my brother has a child who is 1.5 years old. My sister-in-law is again pregnant. They do not want to have another child immediately. My brother wants to know whether they can go for an abortion. I told the religious that church does not allow abortion. The religious went away. After some days, when I met the religious, I asked him about the problem that he had discussed with me. He told me, Father Anton, I discussed the matter with my brother and told him to take my sister-in-law for abortion and make a good confession. I also made a confession. This religious took for granted the forgiveness of God. A holy person will never take for granted the forgiveness of God. Part 2 of this talk is generosity. In the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 9, speaks about generosity, giving cheerfully. What can we give to others cheerfully? I shall mention some of the things that we can give to others cheerfully. First, placing our trust in others. Jesus placed his trust in various people. I shall mention just one example. It is about St. Peter, given in Luke chapter 21, verses 15 to 19. After the resurrection, Jesus never asked Peter, Why did you deny me? Peter must have expected a scolding from Jesus. In fact, Jesus gave to Peter an opportunity to reaffirm his love for him by asking him 3 times, Peter, do you love me? After which, Peter was appointed as the head of the Apostolic College. This trust placed by Jesus, in spite of his denial, made Peter to change his life and die for Christ. I shall give an example in my life when others placed their trust in me, and in turn I was able to place my trust in others. I was a temporarily professed brother. The day I reached the community, the administrator, Father Thomas, told me, This year you will do the work of the administrator. I have spoken to the provincial about it. Father Thomas placed his complete trust in me. At the end of every month, before sending the monthly returns to the economer of the province, I used to ask Father Thomas to check whether everything is okay or not. He used to tell me, I trust you. You will not make mistake since you are conscientious about your work. That this trust placed by Father Thomas helped me to trust others. After my ordination, I was appointed as administrator in a community. There were 8 temporarily professed brothers in the community. When I used to be in the farm or in the playground, if a brother were to come and ask for some money for any purpose, I used to give him the key or the money box, telling him to write on a piece of paper the amount of money that he has taken. Rector used to tell me, Father Anton, don't trust these temporarily professed brothers. I used to tell him, they will grow only when we place our trust in them. Second, we can give to others cheerfully our forgiveness. In North Kerala, there was a family consisting of father, mother, 2 sons and a daughter. One day, the youngest son asked his father for his share of property. Father told him, I shall give you your share of property after the marriage of your younger sister. Youngest son was not happy and went away. After a few days, he returned to the family with a bottle of water. It was a warm day. When he came, the father and eldest son were sitting and talking. The youngest son asked his father whether he wanted to drink water. Father was very happy to hear this question from his youngest son, who had gone away angrily from the house since father was not willing to give him his share of property. The youngest son poured the content of the bottle into a glass and went near to his father and poured it onto the face of his father and elder brother. It was pure acid. Father lost the eyesight of both the eyes, elder brother that of one eye. When the police came to file FIR, the elder brother narrated the incident as it happened. But the father told the police, I have no complaint. The neighbors asked the father why he did not complain to the police about his younger son. He replied, I want to forgive him as Jesus forgave those who crucified him. Third, we can give to others cheerfully our time. I want to mention the example of a Salesian priest, an OMI priest, and a diocesan priest. First, Salesian priest, Father Dominic Savio, SDB. He is an electronic engineer. As a brother, he used to take initiative to repair things like mic, amplifier, UPS, computer, mixer, etc. without being asked. During his stay in Christ Jyoti College, we never had to call anyone to repair these things because Brother Dominic Savio used to spend time to repair these things. He used to do it cheerfully, happily. Second, Father Rajesh OMI. He did diploma course in Vishuddhip. The day after his coming to Vishuddhip, he came to my office and said, Father Anton, can I ask you for a favor? I asked him, what can I do for you? He told me, I know how to look after the gardens and lawns and hedges. This year, will you allow me to look after the gardens and hedges and the lawns in Vishuddhip? In spite of his academic commitments, he took care of the gardens and hedges, etc. of Vishuddhip that year. Third, Father Domingo, a diocesan priest. He did masters in catechetics in Vishuddhip. In 2012, I was the administrator of Vishuddhip. There was no driver in the community. Without being asked, Father Domingo came and told me, Father Anton, if you allow me, I shall do the marketing this year. Yes, that year, he did the weekly marketing and many other works without neglecting academic commitments. Now he is the catechetical secretary of CCBI. Fourth, we can give to others cheerfully the words of appreciation. The author William James has said, the deepest craving of human nature is the need to be appreciated. I shall narrate an interesting experience I had in a religious community of men. I was taking class in a certain community. One Saturday evening, I went for a walk. I entered a religious community of men. Only Superior was there in the community. I asked him what their mission was in the community. He told me that there are altogether 4 members in the community. He narrated the good qualities of each of them. One of them is the principal, Superior told me. Principal is an excellent religious. He knows every student by name. He gives special care to weak students. He has a heart for the poor. The second is a spiritual father, Superior told me. Students call the spiritual father kind father. He has the ability to give the right advice at the right time. He is ever ready to hear confession or to give spiritual direction. Third is a temporarily professed brother doing regency. Superior told me, this brother is the Benjamin of our community. He works hard in the school and in the community. No one can be unhappy in his company. Part 3 of this talk is compassion in the Bible. Jesus is a personification of compassion. The Gospels speak about compassion of Jesus. Matthew chapter 9 verse 36. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them. Matthew chapter 15 verse 32. Feeding the 4,000. I have compassion for the crowd because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. Luke chapter 7 verse 13. Jesus brought back to life the only son of a widow who had died in the town of Nain. And the Lord saw her, he had compassion for her, and said to her, do not weep. Many religious think that they have the freedom to be or not to be compassionate. According to me, we have no choice. By the mere fact that we are religious, priests or sisters, we have the duty to be compassionate to people who come to us for various types of help, to people with whom we live day by day in our communities. We may not have anyone to tell us that we are not compassionate. We have to examine our life occasionally. After our death, people will not remember the number of degrees, MA, MBed, MEd, MBBS, PhD, we have taken, or the different offices that we held, principal, superior, provincial, etc. But instead, they will remember the little acts of compassion that we have shown to them. In our communities, we get many opportunities to show compassion and understanding towards members who are old and sick. We should examine our attitude towards old and sick people in our community. At times, I used to ask myself, are the members of my community happy when I am absent from my community? If I am a person who is not compassionate, then the members of my community will be happy when I am absent from the community. I know the director of an orphanage. He is a dictator. One day I had gone to that orphanage. I reached there at midday. When I reached there, I saw few boys lighting candles in front of the statue of Our Lady. On inquiry, I found the reason for lighting the candles. The director had gone to a faraway place for a meeting and he was supposed to travel back on the following day. The TV news, the boys had heard that there was going to be a Bandh. The boys were asking Our Lady to prolong the Bandh for many days so that the director may not be able to come back soon. The workers or people living in and around a community may be telling among themselves, Father or Sister so and so is not compassionate. They may be making novena for our transfer if we are not compassionate people. I conclude by quoting Fulton Sheen. He said about the church, even though we are God's chosen people, we often behave more like God's frozen people. Frozen in our prayer life, frozen in the way we relate with one another, frozen in the way we live in a community without showing compassion to the members. Through the intercession of St.Anne, we shall ask Jesus for the grace to lead a holy life, to place our trust in others, to be a cheerful giver of our time, forgiveness and appreciation, to be a compassionate person.